Hey everyone! So 2020 has been an insane year. There were so many amazing movies we were supposed to get, and they just kept getting pushed and 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 pushed, and some of them are coming out in 2021. Some aren't coming out till 2022. It's so depressing, but we were still, despite all of this, able to get some pretty fantastic movies. Now, I gotta admit, picking my 10 favorites of 2020 was a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. There were some movies that I totally forgot even came out in 2020 because this year has felt like at least 5 years, and I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. Also, it was a lot harder because, like I said, we didn't get the big movies we were expecting, like Black Widow, Dune, and other movies like that. So here's my top 10 favorites and my 5 least favorites of 2020. Let's get into it. Hey, Tessa from Mama's Geeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. Now, I know this is going to be controversial. Actually, a lot on this list are probably controversial. But for me, my number 10 movie of 2020 is Wonder Woman 1984. You guys, I thought this movie was a lot of fun. Pedro Pascal absolutely stole the show for me. I loved him. I loved his character. I loved his character arc. I thought he was great. Kristen Wiig I thought was fantastic. A little bit underused. Not the best CGI as Cheetah. And that fight was a little dark, probably to hide the CGI. But overall, I really liked the story of this and the heart behind it. And, you know, just this movie was just so much fun. Yes, it's not that much action, but there was still some really awesome action scenes, some great fan service, like maybe an invisible jet, stuff like that. I thought was a lot of fun. So Wonder Woman 1984 is going to come in at number 10 for me. I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people didn't, but you know what? I had fun with it, and I think I can appreciate it for what it is. So it's my number 10. Number 9, you guys. We're going back into another Star Wars alumni, just like Pedro Pascal is the Mandalorian. We have Diego Luna, who you may know as Cassian Andor. Now, Wander Darkly came out earlier this month, and this movie is one that has really, truly stuck with me. It's a little bit confusing, and it's got a giant twist in it, but man, it's so good. And I don't want to give anything away for those of you who haven't seen it, but let's just say have some tissues ready. It's got some fantastic acting in it, and I think a lot of people are really going to appreciate this movie. So if you haven't gotten to see it yet, I highly, highly recommend checking it out. It's my number 9 movie of 2020. Number 8, I toyed with where this was going to go on my list. It was much higher in the list, and then as I thought about other movies, it did end up dropping down, but it is still number 8. Love and Monsters. Talk about a really fun post-apocalyptic type movie. I mean, you've got Dylan O'Brien, who's absolutely fantastic. You've got crazy creatures. You've got post-apocalyptic craziness. You've got Michael Rooker. Like this movie was so much fun. I've already seen it 3 times this year, and you know what? There's still a little bit of time. I might just watch it again. Who knows? But Love and Monsters, I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it already. It's a story about love and monsters in a post-apocalyptic world. What else could you ask for? Next up on my list, Onward. I kind of forgot Onward came out in 2020, to be honest with you. Now, this does hold a special place in my heart. I was actually at Pixar Studios in 2019 to learn more about this movie. I got to see some of the footage, interview the people who made this movie, and so, you know, Onward definitely holds a place in my heart. Not to mention, it stars 2 of my favorite Marvel characters, Star-Lord and Spider-Man, right? AKA Chris Pratt and Tom Holland. I thought it was a great movie, a great family movie, and if you've lost a loved one in your life, especially a parent, this one can definitely hit hard. Definitely make sure to have some tissues on hand when you watch it, but I thought it was a great movie. It's a fun Pixar movie. I mean, for me, Pixar almost never drops the ball, so Onward was a really great movie, and I was lucky enough to see it on the big screen, and listen, it's fun to watch at home too. It's now on Disney+, so if you haven't already checked it out, be sure to do so. It's a great family movie, and it had to be on my list. It had to. Next up is Uncle Frank. Now, this movie stars Paul Bettany, and this movie is so full of heart. It is about a man who has hidden his identity from his family for way too long, and when eventually things need to come out, literally, he needs to come out to parts of his family. It's all about his journey. I absolutely love him and his relationship in this. I thought it was great. This whole movie has so much heart. I found myself crying several times over. I really, really enjoyed it. I think Paul Bettany is absolutely fantastic, absolutely crushes it in this movie. And if you haven't seen Uncle Frank yet, I highly recommend checking it out. I think it's a really great movie. So good. Definitely one of the best of 2020, and that's why it made my list. Next up, you guys, come on. The New Mutants. You guys know how I feel about Marvel, and this is not even an MCU movie, and I knew it had to be on my list somewhere because I actually really, truly loved this movie. I did get to see it on the big screen. I happened to be on vacation in Florida when it came out. I donned my mask and I went to see it opening night, and I'm so glad that I did. I brought the whole family. My daughters kind of fell in love with it. They became big fans of the New Mutants, and we've been discussing what's been going on in the comic books with them, and I've kind of just loved bringing them into this world. Yes, I would have loved to get Cypher and Warlock, of course. Who wouldn't have loved to see that in a New Mutants movie? I feel like they had really set this up for some amazing, amazing sequels, tying it all into the franchise, but unfortunately, I don't know that that's ever going to happen. All that being said, I thought it was a lot of really good moments, like for comic book fans. Of course, seeing Limbo, actually seeing Limbo on screen was awesome. Of course, Lockheed was fantastic. I could go on and on, but I think really Magic absolutely stole the show in this one. She was so great, but the whole cast was good, and man, I truly enjoyed this movie. So as a Marvel fan, this has to be on my list. It's perfectly at number 5. Now number 4, I also know is going to be a little controversial. Mulan. Now listen, you guys, I loved this live action version of Mulan. It is not the animated version, but you know what? That's okay. Sometimes things need to change and evolve. And I thought the action was amazing. I thought the cinematography was incredible. I liked that they didn't have the music in it. I thought it was perfect. Just the small undertones of the orchestra playing the tunes to the songs during certain moments absolutely worked in its favor. Now, I did get to see this on the big screen at the premiere. So number 1, I'm a little biased. Number 2, I did get to see it on the big screen as it was clearly meant to be viewed. And I know not everyone got to see it on the big screen. I'm one of the very, very select few who did. But I can tell you that on the big screen, Mulan delivers. Now, I did watch it at home as well. So I saw it on the big screen and the small screen. I feel like it held up. My family really enjoyed it. My daughters have watched it several times. I've watched it several times. So Mulan for me is number 4 of 2020. I liked it. Now, number 3 is a movie I totally forgot had come out in 2020 until I started to research what movies had come out. And that's Sonic the Hedgehog. You guys, listen, video game movies are so hard to pull off. And when we first saw Sonic, we didn't know that his design was going to actually come through. And the studio listened and they took the time to completely change it and make this a 2020 movie, not a 2019 movie. Luckily, that meant we got some really good movies in 2020. Thank you, Sonic the Hedgehog, for being number 3 on this list. I think Jim Carrey was absolutely perfect as Robotnik. I think there's so much in here for Sonic fans, but also for those who aren't Sonic fans. I feel like this is a movie you could still enjoy. I cannot wait for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 with Tails and Knuckles. You guys, it's going to be incredible. So Sonic the Hedgehog is number 3 on my 2020 movies list. Now, this movie, number 2, is one I actually saw very recently, but I've seen it several times over, and it really, really stuck with me. Wolfwalkers is an absolutely gorgeous animated movie. It's such a great film, and it's got some absolutely fantastic lessons that I think everyone needs to learn and needs to see. This movie is so good. Yes, it's a little long, but it doesn't feel long. And that's really, really hard to pull off, especially in 2020. I feel like any movie we got that was 2 hours or over just absolutely felt like it dragged on for hours and hours and hours and hours. That's one of my main issues with my number 10 movie, Wonder Woman 84. They probably could have cut 30, 40 minutes out of it, and it would have been a much better film. Now, Wolfwalkers is all hand-drawn animation. I could spend the whole time just looking at all the scenery and looking at the different things, but then when you get the actual story between these 2 young girls and their families and just the town in general and the wolves, and the story of nature. It's just an absolutely beautiful, stunning movie. Wolfwalkers is number 2 on my 2020 list. You can check it out now on Apple TV+. And the moment we've all been waiting for, my number one favorite movie of 2020 is a movie I could watch over and over and over again. Spontaneous. This movie is so good. I mean, who would have thought a movie about teenagers dealing with love and just spontaneously exploding would be my favorite movie of 2020. If you told me that in 2019, I would have laughed at you and said, there's no way that would be my favorite movie of the year. Yes, it easily could have made my top 10. I'm into that sort of thing. I love gore. I love all that stuff, but really my number one movie. But it is, man, Catherine Langford just absolutely delivers in this film, as well as Charlie Plummer. Their chemistry on screen, you know, it makes me wonder, were they really dating in real life? Because, man, I totally believed every little part about it. There were moments that I sobbed. There were moments that I could relate to them and just what they were going through. I mean, listen, 2020 sucked for everybody, so it wouldn't surprise me if people just started spontaneously exploding. Like, it felt like a solid 2020 movie. And this film is just so good. It's heartwarming. It's hilarious. It's got gore. It's got weirdness, like people literally blowing up, like just literally exploding. It's just an absolutely amazing film, and I highly, highly recommend Spontaneous. If you haven't seen it already, you guys seriously need to check this movie out. Now, real quick, I'm going to go over my 5 least favorite movies of 2020, and I don't even need to offer explanation. It's just, they sucked. They were horrible. I don't recommend anybody watch them, and they are bloodshot, you guys. It's so, so bad. The Craft Legacy did not hold a candle at all to the original. Just absolute trash. Downhill, God, I really wanted it to be good. I mean, who doesn't love Will Ferrell? I mean, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I thought for sure this was going to be a good movie, and it was just god-awful. The next one really pains me to even mention because I was really looking forward to this movie, but Artemis Fowl has got to be on the 5 worst movies of 2020 list. It was just way too different from the source material and just awful and horrible. And it really, really hurts to say that. And then last, but most certainly, probably least, is Dolittle. I don't know what Robert Downey Jr. was thinking. This could have been at least a decent family movie, but it was just bad and it fell flat all over the place. Well, guys, I hope that you enjoyed my list. Let me know your 10 favorite movies of 2020 down below. And you know what? You can even tell me your 5 least favorites as well. Let's discuss. I'm curious where we overlap and where we don't. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Follow me over on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at Mama's Geeky over there. MAMASGEEKY. And you know what, guys? Here's to 2021. I cannot wait to see what movies we are going to get because, man, they are making up for lost time in the movie industry.